More and more 7-Eleven are opening all over the world, especially in South Korea, Taiwan, and Japan. 7-Eleven can be found everywhere. Since there are so many 7-Eleven, they must be very profitable, right? Right? But in fact, only the 7-Eleven headquarters are really making a lot more profit. For many franchisees, the moment they join a convenience store, they've already opened the gates of hell. We all know that there are two main types of convenience stores, directly operated and franchised operated shops. Directly operated shops are run directly by the headquarters, while franchise shops are paid for by the franchisor. The franchisee is then finally authorized to operate and hand-guided by the headquarters. But do you know that the majority of 7-Eleven is 90% franchises? Directly operated shops only account for a small percentage. Japan's 7-Eleven, for instance, is even worse with less than 2% directly sales store. If 7-Eleven are really that profitable, the 7-Eleven headquarters should just open its own directly managed shops. Why open up franchises for others to make money, where they can just have the pie all by themselves? Of course, as if the headquarters were that nice. It's because direct selling shops aren't profitable that they're open to franchising. What are the limitations of franchising 7-Eleven that drive franchisees to the point of bankruptcy, or even to the point of desperation where they choose to end themselves? The number one point that must be mentioned is the 24 horrible operating hours. But to be honest, 24 hours 7-Eleven is really convenient for customers. They can go and buy drinks and food when they are hungry in the middle of the night. And in some remote areas, having a 24-hour 7-Eleven nearby also gives you a sense of security. One of the conditions of most 7-Eleven franchises is that they are to open 24 hours a day. But if a 7-Eleven franchisee feels that business is not good at night or cannot find a night shift and wants to close early, is it okay? The answer is no. A big fat no. As a 7-Eleven franchise owner, you are legally obligated to keep your store open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it is a breach of contract to reduce opening hours without permission. This can be punishable by a fine or by termination of the contract. You may say, no, it's not right. If there's no business at night, wouldn't it be cheaper to close early? And you will be right. The cost of utilities and labor is indeed saved, but the problem is that these costs are supposed to be covered by the franchise themselves. Naturally, the headquarters doesn't care about you. As a result, many franchisees are driven to the edge. For example, in February 2018, Japan's Fuki province was hit by a catastrophic level of snowstorm. A husband and wife couple of 7-Eleven franchise owners thought, with such a heavy snowstorm, no customers will be coming. So they asked the headquarters to temporarily halt their business and close early for that period. However, the 7-Eleven headquarters not only did not approve the request, but also requested that in order to ensure the safety of the customers who might come, the franchise had to keep shoveling the snow around the shop. As a result, his wife collapsed after working long hours and had to be taken to the hospital. The husband had to remain at the 7-Eleven. But you may say, Munya, your wife's life. Which one more important? True, but who to help him run the store? You? He's the only employee there. Who gonna help him pay for the high penalty? Who going to help him pay for his wife's hospital bills? In the end, not only was he unable to accompany his wife to the hospital, he also worked 50 hours straight because he couldn't find a replacement. Matsumoto, also a franchisee of 7-Eleven, was even more miserable. Matsumoto and his wife are franchise owners of a shop in Higashi, Osaka, Japan. In order to save money, Matsumoto and his wife were already working almost 12-hour shifts. Even after Matsumoto's wife was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, she continued to work at 7-Eleven while undergoing treatment and continued to work until just a month and a half before she passed away. After the death of his wife in May 2018, the shop was almost entirely run by Matsumoto on his own. During that time, Matsumoto requested several times to shorten the opening hours to the 7-Eleven HQ on the grounds of shortage of staff, but was eventually refused. So in February 2019, Matsumoto made the unauthorized decision to open the store only from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. So what happened to him then? As a result, the 7-Eleven HQ fined him a whopping total of 17 million yen for violating the contract. By the end of 2019, the 7-Eleven HQ terminated the contract on the reason that they had received many complaints from customers about Matsumoto's bad attitude. Matsumoto was asked to withdraw from the branch immediately, but even though there was nothing left to sell in the shop, Matsumoto was still determined not to leave. The 7-Eleven HQ then surrounded Matsumoto's shop with fencing and built a temporary 7-Eleven in front of it. Although the court eventually ordered Matsumoto to remove the store, this incident has successfully gained the attention of the public. To this day, more and more convenience stores in Japan have started to shorten their opening hours. But apart from the horrible opening hours, 7-Eleven franchisees do not have the freedom to purchase goods. Generally speaking, 7-Eleven HQ uses big data to determine how much each shop should stock. If you are asked to stock 100 cans of beer, you'll stock 100 cans of beer. If you are asked to order 200 bento, you will then get 200 bento. For items like noodles, medicine, or condom which have a long shelf life, that's fine, but if it's a bento, milk, or something with a shorter shelf life, good luck then. Many franchisees eat what has expired or is about to expire food to avoid waste. The rest is given to family members or relatives to consume. There was a 7-Eleven franchisee in the US. He was so pissed at 7-Eleven. They keep wanting him to stock pizza and chicken wings even though no one is buying them.
Whenever, whatever they want, they can bring in the store, and we have no option, no choice. We have to accept it because they said you signed the paperwork.
In a fit of rage, he terminated his contract. He then opened a 612 near 7-Eleven. Then again, why would 7-Eleven HQ go to all lengths to stop franchise owners from discounting the products? Here's what you need to know about the operation of a franchise. Suppose the franchise buys 10 bento. The buying price of each bento is $6. The franchise then sell the bento $10 each, so the franchise profit $4 per bento. If the franchise sells 7 bento, 7 times $4 equals $28 profit after splitting half of the profit with the HQ. And yes, 7-Eleven take 50% commission of the whole revenue. On the surface, the franchisee and the HQ make $14 each. But because the cost of the 3 bento boxes that are not sold is borne by the franchisee, so the franchise is actually losing $4. What if the franchisee sells the 3 unsold bento at half the price and sells them for $3 instead of $6? Because 3 of the bentos were sold at a loss of $3, the total profit is now $19. After dividing by half, the franchisee goes from a loss of $4 to a profit of $9.5. But the 7-Eleven HQ has made $4.5 less than before. So that's why the HQ would rather the franchisee to throw away their unsold bento rather than reduce their prices. In the end, it's all about earning more profit. Today, you can now see the discounted products at 7-Eleven, and it was only made possible after many franchisees complained and protested to the headquarters, even to the extent of going to court. Well, let's say you somewhat survive the mandatory 24 hours operation, compulsory restocking, and the inability to reduce prices at will. Don't be too happy when your 7-Eleven business gets bigger and better, because when the HQ people see how successful your business is, they'll probably open another 1x to your shop. This new shop could be a franchise or a directly owned shop. If it's a franchisee, you, as the dominant player, you have the priority to franchise in the area. But because you have to pay a new franchise fee, many people will give up because they can't afford it. As a result, your shop will have to compete with the new franchise in the area. The most dramatic occurrence is, there was a 7-Eleven franchise that did well at first in the area. But then, someone from the headquarters decided it is a good idea to open 9 more shops around him. Knowledge. So that more people can share that small, tiny pie. And eventually, none of the store did well. Forced to stay open 24 hours a day, forced to stock up, and kept eating pre-cooked food and bento that you know could never sold out. Wanted to reduce prices, but was stopped by HQ. When business booms, you have to compete with other branches. Wanted to terminate your contract early. Wait till you see the high amount of liquidated damages waiting for you. As a result, many 7-Eleven franchisees have been forced to sell off their assets to stay in business. Some franchisees have even chosen to end their lives. So, next time you go to a convenience store, be more considerate to the staff and shop managers, because your convenience is based on the blood and sweat of these people. But if you're thinking of joining a convenience store to fulfill your your entrepreneurial dreams, then I advise you to think it all over again, and you can thank me later. If you enjoy this video, let me know in below and I will do a part 2. And this is the channel that talk about money and business.